Welcome everyone, video lesson number 1, ratios. Mr. Pasco here. This is our first video lesson of our very first chapter, ratios, rates, and proportions. On top of your paper you can see a blank box. Mine is filled with a question. That question reads, what is a ratio and how do we simplify them? This is the question of the day. I hope that by the end of the lesson you are able to answer that. So please go ahead and write that down and then we can get right into it. Here we go. Key vocabulary. Let's first define what a ratio is. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. What that means is we are comparing the number of one thing to the number of another thing. Typically, what helps me identify where the ratio is by looking for the word to within the question. Now, when I find the word to, there's probably going to be a quantity to the left as well as a quantity to the right. Those are the two quantities that we want to compare. So let's go ahead and get started. Example number 1 says, complete the exercises below using the tiles shown at the right. The first question says, what is the ratio of white tiles to, there's the word, black tiles? So you can see our two quantities. White tiles is the first quantity, black tiles is the second quantity. In order to find the quantity of white tiles and black tiles, I simply just counted them. I found that there are 20 white tiles and 5 black tiles. Now, the order in which you write this ratio is very important. The white tiles corresponds to the number of 20 because there are 20 white tiles. And the black tiles corresponds to the actual number of black tiles. So please be careful when you write the ratio. Order is very important. White tiles to black tiles is 20 to 5. Let's move to our second example. What is the ratio of black tiles, our first quantity, to all the tiles, our second quantity? Now, we don't know the number of all the tiles, but we can find them. The total number of tiles is simply the sum of white tiles plus black tiles. 20 plus 5 is 25. So what is the ratio of black tiles to all tiles? 5 to 25. Let's move to our third question in example number 1. It says, for every black tile there are blank white tiles. You can't see the word to, it's not in there. But you can see the two quantities that we are comparing. We're comparing black tiles to white tiles. Let's find the ratio of black tiles to white tiles. We know that there are 5 black tiles to 20 white tiles. That's not what the question is asking us. It says for every black tile. That is asking for every one black tile. So what we have to do here is we have to simplify this ratio down using something called common factors. There's a common factor between 5 and 20. You should all know that the common factor is 5. So if I do 5 divided by 5, I end up getting 1 black tile to 20 divided by 5, which is 4. So for every 1 black tile, there are 4 white tiles. Let's move down to our chart here. The directions say we can write this ratio 3 different ways, and I will show you. You all know the first way, using the word to. So 1, 2, 4. You can also represent a ratio with a colon symbol in between the numbers. 1, 2, 4. Lastly, we can write a ratio as a fraction. So as a fraction, our ratio would look like 1 over 4. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to move back up to those two questions in example number 1. I'd like to simplify those two ratios by using the idea of common factors. So the first question says, what is the ratio of white tiles to black tiles? And we ended up getting a ratio of 20 to 5. We can simplify that using a common factor of 5. So if I divide both the 20 and the 5 by our common factor of 5, I end up getting a ratio of 4 to 1. Moving to our second question, what is the ratio of black tiles to all of the tiles? Again, we have a common factor of 5. If I divide 5 by 5, I get 1, 2, 25 divided by 5 is 5. So we can see that we have simplified our ratios. There it is, everyone. Video lesson number 1 on ratios. We defined what a ratio is, we learned how to simplify them using something called common factors, and we also saw 3 different ways to represent a ratio. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a good day.